Hello from Keystone Human Services. My name is Ruby Kadri, and today I have a unique privilege of being in conversation with two amazing young women. At Keystone Human Services, our work centers around supporting persons with disabilities to live independently in the community. Our work is person driven, and we strongly believe in the leadership of persons with disabilities to not just drive their own life, but to create change in the society. We have today with us two such amazing young women whose work has not just impacted their lives, but a lot of lives. Vibhu Sharma is a leader in inclusive education and disability inclusion. She is the first blind person to independently write her CBSE board exam using screen reader. Currently serving as the capacity building manager at Keystone Human Services India Association, Vibhu has been instrumental in shaping policies and initiatives that foster a more inclusive society. Arushi Singh is a disability rights advocate who has taken a legal stride to create more accessible world. She filed a writ petition to the Supreme Court of India to improve air travel for persons with disabilities, challenging systematic barriers and advocating for equal rights. Currently, Arushi is a faculty member at OP Jindal University at Sonipat in India. Welcome Vibhu and Arushi. We are so excited to have you here today. So Vibhu, tell us about your journey. What motivated you to pursue this issue of inclusive education?
I think that's a great question. Well, I am a visually impaired person, so having born and brought up in a country like India, I had my own challenges accessing even basic education. I had a lovely experience when I was a student. I went to Delhi Public School Rohini as a student and then to St. Stephen's College for my bachelor's. And that motivated me to work on inclusive education and disability inclusion because I wanted to create a world where every young child with disability is able to access accessible and inclusive education. For instance, when I had to write my Class 12 Central Board of Secondary Education exams, I met or came across a very inaccessible system because the way the system has traditionally worked is that the board would give you a scribe who would read your paper, your question paper, and then you could dictate your answers and they would write it for you. But I felt that this was a very disempowering system because we live in a world where there is assistive technology, there are screen readers. We know that visually impaired people are able to work on computers independently. And so I lobbied with the board. It was a long struggle that took about 2 years. Fortunately, I had begun it in 2010. And I convinced them to allow visually impaired students to write their exams using the screen readers, where the board would make a provision to give a digital copy of the question paper.
That's lovely. That's so nice to hear that, and more power to you, Vibhu. So now, Arushi, I would like to know your journey. That what happened, what motivated you to pursue the inclusive travel thing and everything that happened with you.
I'm not sure about if motivation is the right word, but I think there were a series of events which led me to do what I'm doing and which led me to also file a writ petition. I think the pivot really happened when I was studying in Singapore, and it was we were there during COVID, and there were lots of deferrals that happened with that batch, and for some reason we ended up happening to be together with 26 women from across the world. And the common strain in every conversation was that of discrimination. I think every woman faces that, and that just realized, that made me realize that, I want to work with issues like that because they speak to me. So over there, I ended up volunteering with the Disabled People's Association, which is the only cross-disability organization in Singapore. That gave me a glimpse into how the law differs in India and from that of Singapore. That gave me a comparative lens on things, and I helped the people over there with UNCRPD panel reports and whatnot. I came back wanting to again pursue either something in academia or probably work more towards the human rights side of things. That led me to my first, that led me to my job as a public policy consultant. And during one of my travels, I faced some sort of discrimination at one of the airports when I was asked to get up from my wheelchair at the security gate. I think that kind of led me to file a writ petition. I first tweeted about it, and that went viral. And then, because of the outpouring of support that I received, I just thought that maybe that's something that can be streamlined in terms of the legal access. So that's pretty much about that. And since then, I've been writing on issues relating to disability, and I also want to kind of streamline the discourse in academia on disability, because we do not really find something like that. We talk about disability rights, we talk about it from a more activist lens, but nothing in academia to kind of find the narratives that, theoretical framework to actually speak to us. So that's something, and also looking at it from a more feminist lens, because I always feel that being a woman with a disability, it is a double-edged sword.
Thank you very much, Arushi. That was really inspiring to hear your journey and your story. I would again come back to Vibhu. I would like to know that what are the challenges women with disabilities are still facing today?
Well, I would have loved if we were in a world where I could have said none, but unfortunately, I can't say that. There are many challenges that women with disabilities face. First is obviously a mindset and stereotypical thinking that we can't decide for ourselves, whereas in reality, we can. The second challenge is again a misconception that we don't have the ability or the will or the zeal for career, which is again a misconception, whereas in reality, we are capable of having good lives and good careers. So yeah, I think the challenge is really to do with the misconceptions and the stigmatization and stereotypical attitudes that women have. But for women with disabilities, it's almost a double marginalization, because there is discrimination and marginalization because you're a woman. But then it's the double discrimination because you are a woman who also has a disability.
I really hope that one day we can have you can answer none. So yeah, Arushi, I would like to know from your opinion, your thoughts on what are the challenges women with disabilities are still facing today in the modern India, in the 21st century India?
Yeah, thank you for that question. I actually had to think a lot, not think a lot, but also just to, reflect on my own journey and just taking away from what Vibhu just said. Like she said, there are lots of limitations that are posed on our capabilities, right? Maybe we can't do this, we can't go there, we cannot have a career. We're not capable of having a romantic life, we're asexual, I think that's one of the biggest reasons. Biggest challenges. The other challenge which I feel as a woman, and especially as a woman with disability, I think there's an enormous pressure on us to adjust with the society, with the ableism of the society. The society is not going to change, but we have to access certain spaces, certain areas. And then the burden falls on us to adjust with those spaces, with those rigid areas. And I think that also puts enormous psychological pressure on us. It's almost as if, oh, I've just done this, and I'm also supposed to do this. So it's almost this battle that goes on in our mind, and no one really talks about the psychological pressure and the psychological trauma that brings along. So I think that pretty much, yeah.
That's so true, Arushi. Women with disabilities are still facing the challenge, and not just challenge, a multiple layer of discrimination in the 21st century India. I would continue again with you. Who or what inspires you in your journey? If you can just throw some light on that.
I'm not sure if inspiration is the right word, but I can tell you what keeps me going. And I think that's having the right set of people around you. And I think I'm certainly very blessed in that regard. I have incredibly supportive parents and an amazing set of friends, and who provide the right support, or probably who are actually my emotional bank balance, if I can put it that way. So I think I have people who I can bank upon day in and day night, and I think that just kind of gives me the will to get up every day and just keep going. So yeah.
Absolutely. The non-negotiables of the homies are so important. So yeah, Vibhu, now I would like to know about you that who or what, and as Arushi said, what keeps you going?
I share the sentiment. I'm not sure if inspiration is the right word because throughout my personal and professional life, I've come across several people and several instances who have influenced me in several ways and have helped me become who I am or what I do. But yes, what does keep me going is when I look around me and see other people who are maybe of the same age as me, or slightly older and slightly younger, having the same challenges, what I want to do is really to address those challenges so that people who come after or the next generations do not have to handle the same challenges because it's like we already dealt with those challenges. We already know what the solutions are. This is very true for the example with the CBSE that I was giving you. People before me dealt with an inaccessible system. But when it was my turn, I decided to do something about it. Yes, it was a struggle for me. As I said, it felt like almost being at war for those 2 tedious years where we were writing to the board, going to their offices again and again, having those discussions where you need to convince them why they need to make the change. But then after that, I'm so happy when, young people who are appearing for their exams reach out to me and say, I know you worked on bringing this provision in the board, but how do I avail the service? And I tell them, you just need to write them a letter and tell them that you want a computer and a screen reader for your exams. So I think it's really those instances that keep me going.
So rightly said. So now you are the one who is like keeping the other people going with one of your initiatives, if I can say. Now we are on the last segment of our conversation now. So just the last question where I would like to know that what kind of tomorrow you look forward to? What kind of future you are looking forward to for the women with disabilities?
Thank you, Ruby. It's very interesting because when we talk about feminism and when we talk about now that feminism has become a buzzword, it's very important to also recognize, and most people don't do that to get us here, women across the world had taken years. There was a lot of work that went into getting us voting rights, getting us rights to have a voice on the table, to work, to have leadership positions. And it's important to recognize that women with disabilities can do the same. I want us to hold our spaces. I want us to have a voice. I want us to go and out there and live our lives, live our best lives. I want us to go out there and paint the town red and just party and just do what we want to do. I mean, today if I go out and I go out with friends and everything, I see people looking at me a certain way, or people telling me that they've never seen a woman on a wheelchair who's so out there. And I want us to be out there. I want us to hold jobs. I want us to be in leadership positions. I want us to be taking decisions. I want us to be having a voice, basically. And I want us to kind of dictate what our lives are going to be. And I don't want anyone else to do that. So I think that's the kind of future I would want to have for everyone. And I know that it will take some time, but I think we'll conquer it one day at a time, maybe. Yeah.
Yes, really promising, and yes, we shall overcome for sure. Thank you very much, Arushi. Now the same question to you, Vibhu, that what kind of future you look forward to? What thing are you really looking forward to in the coming days, in the next decade, in the coming future?
I think what I look forward to is an accessible and an inclusive world. When people are not able to navigate the world around them, either because you could be a wheelchair user and the infrastructure is not wheelchair friendly, or you could be a blind person and the surroundings around you are not accessible, so you can navigate in them. That's inaccessibility. So first would be an accessible world. But then only creating physical accessibility won't create inclusion. So we need to have a change in how we perceive persons with disabilities. We need to start perceiving them as normal or as part of the human diversity. So accessible and inclusive world.
Vibhu and Arushi, thank you so very much for sharing your journey, your experiences, and perspective with us. Your words are truly inspiring. And to all the listeners who are listening to us today, let's continue supporting, celebrating, empowering all the amazing women around us, not just today, but every day.